If you own a Toyota, whether it is a classic 2007 Camry or a rugged 2025 4Runner, you are already driving one of the most reliable machines ever built. There is a reason why you see so many Toyotas on the road with high mileage. These engines are engineered for endurance. However, reaching that 300,000 or 400,000 mile milestone is not just about the car's build quality, it is about how you care for it. Many people assume that as long as the car starts and runs, everything is fine. But the truth is, internal wear happens silently. If you ignore the small things, they eventually turn into massive expensive problems. Today we are going to dive deep into a complete maintenance checklist that you can perform right in your own driveway. By following these steps, you are not just maintaining a vehicle, you are protecting an investment. Following these tips can save you anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000 by preventing a total engine replacement. This script is designed to take you through every critical step with a smooth, engaging flow that builds up as we go. We will cover everything from the basic oil change to the driving habits that can add years to your car's life. So if you love driving and want to keep your Toyota on the road for the next decade or two, stay tuned. We are starting right now with the most fundamental rule of car care, the critical importance of the oil filter. When you go to change your engine oil, you might be tempted to skip the filter just this once to save a few dollars or a few minutes of time. This is one of the biggest mistakes you can make for your engine's health. Think of your oil filter as the kidney of your car. Its entire job is to strain out the debris, metal shavings, and carbon deposits that naturally build up inside the engine. As your engine runs, moving parts rub together, creating microscopic bits of metal. If these bits are not caught by the filter, they act like sandpaper, scratching and wearing down your engine from the inside out. If you put fresh, clean oil into a car but leave a dirty, clogged filter, that new oil immediately becomes contaminated. It is like trying to filter clean water through a muddy sponge. Within minutes, your fresh oil is filled with the very junk you were trying to get rid of. For most Toyota models, the gold standard is to change both the oil and the filter every 5,000 to 6,000 miles. If you drive in harsh conditions such as heavy city traffic, dusty roads, or extreme temperatures, you should consider doing it even more frequently. A fresh filter ensures that the oil can flow freely at the correct pressure, reaching the top of the engine where it is needed most. Without that flow, parts start to grind, heat builds up, and the countdown to engine failure begins. Always buy a high-quality filter, ideally an original Toyota part, to ensure the bypass valve and filtration media are up to the task. Mastering the art of oil maintenance. Engine oil is often called the lifeblood of the vehicle, and for a good reason. It provides a thin protective film between moving metal parts, preventing them from melting together under high heat. But oil does more than just lubricate. It also carries heat away from the combustion chamber and holds onto dirt so it doesn't settle on your engine's internal surfaces. Over time, the chemical additives in the oil break down. It loses its slickness and can no longer protect the metal properly. This is why checking your oil level regularly is a habit of every high-mileage Toyota owner. To do this correctly, park on level ground, turn off the engine, and wait a few minutes for the oil to settle. Pull out the dipstick, wipe it clean with a rag, reinsert it fully, and pull it out again. You want to see the oil level right between the two dots or lines. If it is low, you must add more immediately, as running an engine low on oil is a death sentence for the bearings. Pay attention to the color and smell as well. While oil naturally turns dark, it should still look like liquid. If it looks like thick chocolate milk or smells like it's burning, you have a serious problem. For modern Toyotas, using the exact weight specified on your oil cap, like 0W20 or 5W30, is vital. These modern engines have very tight tolerances and thin oil passages. Using the wrong thickness can prevent the oil from reaching critical areas during a cold start. Even if you don't drive many miles, remember that oil degrades with age and moisture. If your car sits in the garage, you should still change the oil at least once a year to keep the internals fresh and corrosion-free. Reviving performance by cleaning the throttle body. If your Toyota has started to feel a bit sluggish, or if the idle feels a little rough when you're sitting at a red light, the culprit might be a dirty throttle body. The throttle body is the gateway for air entering your engine. Over thousands of miles, oil vapors and carbon deposits create a sticky black residue around the butterfly valve inside this component. This gunk prevents the valve from opening and closing smoothly, which confuses the car's computer and messes up the air-fuel mixture. You might notice your car stumbling when you take off from a stop, or a noticeable drop in your miles per gallon. Many mechanics will charge you hundreds of dollars to service the intake system, but cleaning the throttle body is a task you can often do yourself with a simple can of specialized cleaner and a soft brush.
By removing that carbon buildup, you allow the engine to breathe perfectly again. This results in a much crisper throttle response and a smoother idle. It is a satisfying job that makes a huge difference in how the car feels to drive. However, be careful not to force the valve open manually on electronic throttle bodies, as this can damage the internal motor. Always follow the specific procedure for your Toyota model. Keeping this area clean prevents the engine from working harder than it needs to, which ultimately extends the life of the sensors and the engine itself. The team player fluids you cannot ignore. While everyone talks about oil, your Toyota actually relies on a whole team of fluids to stay healthy. Ignoring these is a recipe for disaster. First, let's talk about coolant. This fluid prevents your engine from turning into a block of melted metal. It circulates through the engine block and the radiator to dissipate heat. Over time, coolant becomes acidic and can eat away at your water pump and gaskets. You should check the reservoir level frequently, but never ever open the radiator cap when the engine is hot. The pressurized steam can cause severe burns. Next is the transmission fluid. Whether you have an automatic or a manual, this fluid is responsible for cooling the gears and allowing for smooth shifts. If the fluid gets too old, it loses its ability to handle heat, leading to slipping gears or total transmission failure. Then there is the brake fluid. This fluid is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the air over time. Water in your brake lines can lead to corrosion and, in extreme cases, brake failure during heavy use. Changing your brake fluid every 3 years is a cheap way to ensure your car stops every time you hit the pedal. Finally, don't forget the power steering fluid, and even the windshield washer fluid. A car that can't see where it's going is a dangerous car. Keeping all these fluids fresh ensures that every system in your Toyota is working in harmony, reducing the overall stress on the engine. The small but mighty PCV valve. One of the most overlooked parts in any engine is the positive crankcase ventilation valve, or PCV valve. This tiny plastic or metal component plays a massive role in keeping your engine clean internally. As your engine runs, a small amount of gas escapes past the pistons and into the crankcase. If these gases are not removed, they mix with the oil to create a thick, nasty sludge. This sludge can block oil passages and cause your engine to seize up. The PCV valve's job is to vent these gases back into the intake so they can be burned off. Over time, the valve can get stuck or clogged with oil deposits. When this happens, pressure builds up inside the engine, which can blow out your oil seals and cause expensive leaks. A clear sign of a bad PCV valve is a sudden increase in oil consumption or a rough idle. The good news is that on most Toyotas, the PCV valve is very easy to find and costs less than $20. A simple test is to remove it and shake it. If it makes a metallic clicking or rattling sound, it is usually still good. If it feels solid or sticky, replace it immediately. Doing this every 50,000 miles is a fantastic insurance policy against engine sludge and oil leaks. It is a 5-minute job that can save you a $5,000 engine rebuild. Restoring the spark to your engine. Your engine needs 3 things to run: air, fuel, and a spark. The spark plugs are responsible for that final step. Every time a cylinder fires, the spark plug endures a tiny explosion and intense heat. Eventually, the metal electrodes on the plug wear down and the gap between them becomes too wide. This makes it harder for the electricity to jump across, leading to a misfire. You might feel this as a slight shudder when you accelerate or notice that your gas mileage has taken a dive. While some older cars needed new plugs every 30,000 miles, many modern Toyotas come with iridium-tipped plugs that can last up to 100,000 miles. However, waiting until the very last mile is not always the best idea. If a spark plug fails completely, it can damage your ignition coils or even your catalytic converter, which is a very expensive part to replace. Changing spark plugs is a classic DIY job. You just need a spark plug socket and a bit of patience. Always make sure the engine is cool before you start, and be very careful not to cross-thread the new plugs when you screw them in. Fresh plugs will give your Toyota that like-new feeling, with instant starts and smooth, consistent power across the entire RPM range. Cleaning the brains of the intake. The MAF sensor. Deep inside your air intake system sits a very sensitive device called the mass airflow sensor, or MAF sensor. This sensor tells the car's computer exactly how much air is entering the engine, so it can calculate the perfect amount of fuel to spray. Because it sits in the stream of incoming air, it can eventually get coated in fine dust or oil vapor. Even a tiny amount of dirt on the sensor's wire can give the computer the wrong information. This leads to the engine running lean or rich, meaning it has too much or too little fuel. This can cause poor performance, stalling, or a check engine light. Cleaning the MAF sensor is a delicate but rewarding task. You must use a specific MAF sensor cleaner spray. Never use carb cleaner or brake cleaner, as these are too harsh and will ruin the sensor. Simply remove the sensor, give it a few sprays, and let it air dry completely. Do not touch the internal wires with your fingers or a brush. Once it's clean and reinstalled, you might find that your engine idles smoother and responds faster to your foot on the pedal. It is a small detail that professional tuners always look at, and it's something you can easily manage at home. vigilance with belts and hoses. If you want to avoid being stranded on the side of the highway, you need to pay attention to your rubber components. The serpentine belt is what connects your engine's rotation to your alternator, water pump and air conditioning compressor. If this belt snaps, your battery will stop charging, and more importantly, your engine will stop cooling down. You have only a minute or two before the engine overheats and causes permanent damage. Every month, take a flashlight and look at the belt. Look for small cracks on the rib side or any fraying on the edges. If it looks glazed or shiny, it's slipping and needs to be replaced. Similarly, check your radiator hoses. Give them a gentle squeeze when the engine is cool. They should feel firm but flexible. If they feel very soft, crunchy, or have visible bulges, they are about to burst. Replacing a belt or a hose is much cheaper than a tow truck and an emergency repair at a random shop. Toyota engines are incredibly tough, but they cannot survive without a working cooling system or a charging system. Keeping these rubber parts fresh is the key to long-distance peace of mind. The importance of a proper break-in period. If you are lucky enough to buy a brand new Toyota, the first 1,000 miles are the most important miles the car will ever drive. This is known as the break-in period. During this time, the piston rings are finding their perfect fit against the cylinder walls, and all the gears are smoothing each other out. If you drive too hard during this time, you can cause uneven wear that will lead to oil burning later in the car's life. The secret is to avoid steady-state driving. Don't just set the cruise control at 70 mph for 3 hours. Instead, vary your speed. Drive on back roads where you are constantly accelerating and decelerating. Avoid flooring the gas pedal and avoid heavy braking if possible. You want the engine to experience a variety of loads and speeds without being pushed to its absolute limit. This careful start ensures that the engine seals perfectly, giving you better compression, better fuel economy, and a much longer lifespan. It takes a little bit of discipline, but the reward is an engine that stays healthy well into the 200,000-mile range without burning a drop of oil. Smart warm-up habits for longevity. We've all seen people start their cars on a freezing morning and immediately speed away. This is one of the hardest things you can do to an engine. When an engine is cold, the oil is thick and sits at the bottom in the oil pan. It takes a few seconds for the pump to push that oil to the very top of the engine. Furthermore, metal expands when it gets hot. The pistons and bearings are designed to fit perfectly once they reach operating temperature. If you stress them while they are cold and loose, you cause unnecessary wear. However, you don't need to sit in your driveway for 10 minutes idling either. The best way to warm up a modern Toyota is to start it, wait about 30 seconds to a minute for the oil to circulate, and then drive away gently. Avoid high RPMs and heavy throttle until the temperature needle reaches the middle of the gauge. This warms up the engine, the transmission, and the wheel bearings all at the same time and in a balanced way. By being patient for just the first 5 minutes of your drive, you are preventing the kind of wear that adds up over years of ownership. The power of smooth driving. Your driving style has a direct impact on how long your engine lasts. If you are constantly flooring it from every stoplight and then slamming on the brakes, you are putting massive amounts of stress on every component, from the engine mounts to the transmission clutches. Toyota engines are built to handle power, but they thrive on consistency. By being smooth with your inputs, you reduce the heat generated inside the engine and transmission. Think of it like a professional athlete. They can sprint when they need to, but they don't spend their whole day sprinting because it would lead to injury. Smooth acceleration allows the transmission to shift at the ideal points, reducing wear on the internal bands and gears. It also keeps your fuel injectors from working at their maximum capacity, which keeps them cleaner for longer. Not only will this make your engine last longer, but it will also save you a fortune in fuel costs. Driving with a light foot doesn't mean driving slow. It means driving smart. Proper gear selection and transmission care. For those who drive a manual Toyota or use the manual mode on an automatic, gear selection is vital. A common mistake is lugging the engine. This happens when you are in too high of a gear for your current speed and you press the gas pedal down. You might hear a deep rumbling or feel a vibration. This puts an incredible amount of pressure on the engine's crankshaft and bearings. It is much better to downshift and let the engine spin a little faster than to force it to struggle in a high gear. On the other side, avoid using the engine to do all your braking. While engine braking is useful on long mountain descents to prevent your brakes from overheating, doing it for every single stoplight puts unnecessary wear on the transmission and the engine's timing chain. Brakes are designed to stop the car and are much cheaper to replace than a transmission. By balancing your gear use and using your brakes for their intended purpose, you keep the heart of your car, the powertrain, in top condition.
Lightening the load for engine health. Every extra pound you carry in your Toyota makes the engine work just a little bit harder. While Toyotas like the Tundra or Sequoia are designed for heavy hauling, smaller cars like the Corolla or Camry feel the weight much more. If you have been driving driving around with old boxes, heavy tools, or sports equipment in your trunk for months, you are essentially asking your engine to tow a small trailer every single day. This extra weight increases the temperature of the engine and transmission and puts more strain on the suspension and tires. Take a few minutes to clean out your car and only carry what you actually need. Also, be very mindful of your car's towing capacity. Trying to tow a heavy boat with a vehicle that isn't rated for it will destroy the transmission in very short order. Keeping your car light and within its design limits is one of the simplest ways to ensure the mechanical parts don't wear out prematurely. Becoming one with your machine, listening for signs. Finally, the most important tool you have for maintenance is your own senses. Your Toyota will almost always try to tell you when something is wrong before a total failure occurs. You need to learn the normal sounds and smells of your car so you can spot the abnormal ones immediately. If you hear a high-pitched squeak when you start the car, it's likely a belt. A deep knocking sound could mean low oil or a bearing issue. A hissing sound usually points to a vacuum leak or a cooling system leak. Even smells are clues. The sweet smell of maple syrup often means a coolant leak, while a thick, acrid smell usually means burning oil. Never ignore a dashboard warning light. The check engine light isn't there to annoy you, it's there to save you money by catching a sensor failure before it ruins your engine. By being an observant driver and acting quickly when something feels off, you can catch problems when they are $50 fixes instead of $5,000 disasters.